I have with me today the new G30 5 Series from BMW. It's only available in one variant at the moment, 530iM Sport. But what we're going to talk about today is the new iDrive system that the 5 Series comes with. I say new because this is even newer than the one in the 7 Series. At first you may not notice the changes, but on this startup, the default screen that you see here, BMW has actually switched to a design that uses bigger tiles compared to the one on the 7 Series. So you know the one on the 7 Series, that was BMW's first attempt at this new tile-based display. What they did on the 7 Series was have like around 6 tiles on the screen. Maybe they felt that made it hard to read. So what they did now for the 5 Series is they only show 3 tiles at once, but the tiles are much bigger, and then all you have to do is scroll through them. You can see your radio display, navigation, your phone pairing status, the car status, things like that. So over here at our team, we've always felt that of all the German car companies, or rather all the luxury automakers, of all the in-car entertainment systems that are being offered, BMW's iDrive is basically the top of the list when it comes to usability, ease of use, even the performance of the menu. You can see that it's really zippy. Even the touch system is very smooth. But if you're upgrading from a 3 Series, which still uses the old iDrive system, this new one is still going to need some getting used to lah. Basically, if you are coming from a 3 Series or any car with the older iDrive, you'll see that you can actually still use the iDrive system in a more traditional way, which is using the rotary knob. Basically just turn it clockwise or counterclockwise to move down or up the menu, slide it to go back or page up, page down. It's quite intuitive in that sense. But now BMW has also added the touchscreen feature for iDrive. I'm not entirely sure if this is a useful feature or not, because you can see this is my driving position. If I stretch my hand out, I basically still cannot really touch the screen. I have to lean forward a bit to scroll up and down. But it's nice that at least there's such an option lah, basically. And of course, when it comes to navigating the map, touch makes it a lot easier lah. And just look at how smooth the graphics are. If this was any other in-car entertainment system, right, I would probably expect it to lag around here and there, but just look at this. You know, like as consumers, we are so used to our phones and iPads responding a certain way, and somehow iDrive manages to deliver that. Whereas I don't understand why some other car manufacturers, they seem to severely underpower their in-car entertainment system, so everything just sorts of lags here and there. But when it comes to iDrive, it's somehow always smooth. So points to BMW for that. And other than touch, BMW has also added something called gesture control to iDrive. Basically, this takes it beyond a touchscreen into something where you can control the iDrive using your hand movements. So it's kind of like a Harry Potter waving your wand kind of thing. But Of course, control using the gesture method is still quite limited. What you can do is you can do things like this to increase the volume. And there's also a shortcut where you point with 2 fingers and you can make the car do a certain action. Those actions are still quite limited. What I've done is set it to mute the audio system, so in case I'm driving around and suddenly I need silence, I can just do this and it'll mute the audio system. The thing about gesture control is, I think it's we all have to start somewhere, and BMW has started with this simple implementation of gesture control before they probably move to other things. But whatever you can do with gesture control now, as the driver, if I want to control the volume, my hands are already on the steering wheel. I might as well just use the steering wheel audio controls to control the volume, right? I'm not sure how gesture control can be useful for me. And if you look at consumer electronics, you can see a lot of companies have tried to implement gesture control. Like, Samsung has gesture control for their TVs, and I think Nintendo had the Wii or something, but somehow those didn't exactly take off and become a mainstream method of input for your electronic devices. So, let's just see where this gesture control thing goes. But I think for the moment it's a cool gimmick that you can show your friends, but I don't think you'll be using it often. Anyway, that was the iDrive system on this screen. But now that the instrument panel in front of the driver is also a full display, BMW has sort of made this screen an extension of the iDrive system. So even though this car doesn't have a heads-up display system that can show things on the windscreen, there's still a lot of things that BMW has added to their virtual display thing here. Like in the F10 series, in the facelift, they've already moved to a virtual display, but this is the next sort of improved version, which can show a lot more things. For example, if you are navigating, this section, they use it to show the navigation instructions. If you can see here, it just says in 200 meters turn left, but as you actually approach the junction, this whole area sort of changes into a map, so you can see exactly which lane you're supposed to turn into if they are like multiple left turnings very close to each other. So that's a very useful thing. And as a driver, I think this is a good evolution of the instrument panel. A lot of people will say that, no, give me back my traditional needles, analog controls, they move much more smoothly, all that. But I think embracing this technology is the way forward. And of course, with our smartphones and all that, we are so used to be able to change our wallpaper and themes and so on. So what BMW has done is they've allowed you to change the look of your instrument panel, but not just anytime you want. It actually changes according to the driving mode that you are in. So what you can see here is actually the comfort mode. If you switch to the Eco Pro mode, you can see the whole display becomes blue, and the RPM meter on the right turns into a big fuel economy display, because that's what you'll be focusing on in Eco Pro mode, instead of watching your revs go up and down. If you can see even on the speedometer, they've sort of limited it to 120 km/h in an attempt to encourage you not to drive so fast to save fuel. And of course, at the other end of the spectrum, you have the sport mode, which turns the display into this very aggressive red. The speedometer and the gear indicator is much more prominently displayed in the middle of each gauge. And of course, there's a little M logo that appears right in the center of the screen to remind you that even though you're not driving an M5, you are still driving an M Sport car. So yeah, the new iDrive, still one of the best in the business, if not the best. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, iDrive now has a built-in SIM card in the car. So before this, when you wanted to use the BMW apps to connect to the internet, you had to pair your phone through Bluetooth and all that. Now the car already has a data connection, so you can do things like go to connected drive. You can see there's a whole bunch of apps here. You can check the weather forecast, you can check news, you can online search. Oh, this is taking some time, but I don't know why you would want to. Let's see what you can search for. Another interesting thing is now this surface of the iDrive knob is actually a touchpad as well, so you can write
M Q
no.
delete A Z
Oops.
delete.
That's the issue when you're not
I
left-handed and you have to write with your left hand.
space
You may end up writing like you're dyslexic.
I E P delete M A K.
Okay, let's see if this is how the wow, not bad. So if you wanted to go to Nasi Lemak Bumbung, you can just even call them up. Or the listings are by this Open Rice database. So yeah, it's connected drive really does mean connected drive now, and it's not bad. But you probably have to take some time to familiarize yourself with this before you can use the full potential of what's accessible to you here. Of course, there's also the BMW concierge service where it can connect you to a call center somewhere and you can ask the person on the other end questions like where's the nearest steak restaurant near here or something like that, but we won't try that out today. Do share your thoughts in the comment section, whether you like it or you don't like it, or maybe you prefer Command or Audi's MMI system. We'd love to hear from you. That's all from me today. Signing off.